The VertebrALCUE project is the most important project at the moment in the Alpha 3 program. The program in itself is supporting the process of creation of the Euro-Latin American Caribbean higher education area. And the project in itself is strongly characterized by the willingness to create a bottom-up dimension in the ALCUE process, in the process of creation of this common area. A previous Erasmus Mundus project called Value had identified in its white paper several weaknesses of the implementation process of the higher education space as defined as a policy objective at the beginning of this decade. In particular, it was said the implementation process suffers from a too top-down oriented monitoring scheme. Only governments and only some governments participate in the sections. The academic networks are not involved enough, and the academic community in the two regions are not aware and involved enough. So VertebrALCUE materializes this reflection and represents a very large systemic, we hope, effort of creating a bottom-up dimension in the construction of the ALCUE space that complements the top-down dimension that should be improved, but the most important thing, it should be complemented by a bottom-up process. So what are the main elements of this project that is led by University of Bologna with all its symbolic elements associated to this name and the strength of one of the most reputed universities in Europe? Essentially, the core of the project is the creation of ALCUE units in the 25 Latin American organizations, mostly universities, that participate in the project, and in the 7 European universities that participate in the project. What are these ALCUE units? They are units that coordinate what is already happening in the field of Euro-Latin American cooperation, that is a lot, that are providing coordination, services, support, information, a unity to what is already happening, and an interface with the external world of the university. In fact, we think that Europe has something to suggest in terms of capacity of dialogue with the external world. The VertebrALCUE project intends through these vertebras to structure the area of higher education, to create the elementary units of a cooperation infrastructure. As the Erasmus offices in Europe created an infrastructure of cooperation in Europe that is still there by a process of imitation and benchmarking, implicit benchmarking. They have improved their capacity to support student mobility and other forms of academic cooperation. We believe that also the ALCUE units will start to play this role. The project has made a big investment in the early creation of these units already in the first semester of a 3-year-long project, and the results are astonishingly positive in the sense that some of these units have already aggregated, they've already started to cooperate, they've already met stakeholders at local and national level, and are becoming visible as engines of this development towards the common area of higher education between the European Union, Latin America, and the Caribbean. We must, however, say that the creation of the bottom-up stream in the creation of this area is not the only characterizing element of VertebrALCUE, and two other dimensions needs to be reminded. One is the awareness that in parallel, and even maybe most importantly, that the creation of the Euro-Latin American cooperation area, there is a strong process of, an important process of integration in the Latin American and Caribbean region that is going on with a strong support from UNESCO, ESALC, the Enlaces initiative is parallelizing the ALCUE initiative, and our assumption in the project is that the two must be supported. One is not to be done before the other, but the two must progress hand in hand. The third dimension, and this we believe can also support, in fact, a difficult phase in the integration of the region outside the higher education area. What I mean is that in the present phase we see, and our conference in Buenos Aires in 15th of October has put very clear in evidence that the political integration process is not going so quickly and smoothly as desired. On the contrary, we think that on the higher education field, this process of integration can progress, and the contribution of VertebrALCUE is also in this direction. The third element, bottom-up, is the first establishing a parallel with regional integration is the second. The third element is, in fact, the opening up of universities to the external world. That is something that is very important to the eyes of all the partners of VertebrALCUE project, led by Bologna University, who has a remarkable track record in what it did in Argentina to establish the Observatory of SMEs